Welcome to the Connor Cherland podcast, where I, Connor Cherland, meet up with a musician, hear about what makes them tick, what kind of experiences they're bringing into their own musical journey. And on today's podcast, we have Cimo Fränkel, a very special singer, songwriter, and producer I met at SoFar Sounds. With a decade of experience in the music business, he's already written a ton of hits like the multi-platinum Sex by Cheat Codes and Kross, as well as Yellow Claw's iconic smash single, Shotgun. Cimo started experimenting with music production at 15 and has been compared to the likes of The Weeknd, with influences from Michael Jackson to Huey Lewis. And I'd compare him to orange juice because he's just sweet and worth having around in your life. Please enjoy this conversation with myself and Cimo Fränkel. Cimo Fränkel, it has been a gift to learn about you. I really liked you when we met each other at the SoFar Sounds in December. I want to say that was like early December.
Probably. Yeah, I think so.
Or like late November. But like, I mean, I already liked you so much. And then I got to see your videos where you're dancing and your style. I already thought your style was so cool. And then I got to see how cool your style was in your videos and just like how good you are at dancing and just so much more. It's such a rare and pleasant experience to enjoy someone in a live context and then to continue through their catalog and just enjoy it more in an expanded way. And I felt the latest album starts off with Drifting, Song with Dad.
Yeah.
It seems like you're sampling an old thing, or at least you're including that video that's like a very old video. How did that song come about? Is that like a recent take of your dad, or?
Yeah, actually it kind of sounds like it's a sample.
Yeah. Because
sorry, Dad, for saying this, but we were drinking in the studio. We both got kind of drunk.
Yeah.
And my dad, he's like, he hasn't been in the studio like I have lately. Like he used to do that, the same thing as I did, but not anymore.
Yeah.
So he was just like, he's such an emotional musician that he would just back up from the mic and stand like a couple meters from the mic, and it's like, Dad, you got to be in the mic. And I was like, you know what? I don't care. So that's why it kind of sounds like a sample too, because I had to make it work with him like technically improperly recording his takes. I'm like, you know what? I'll manage. And now it sounds like a sample. So actually it worked out because it sounds cool to me that it sounds like a sample. But that was, I think, recorded it was back when I was still in Amsterdam. So it must have been like probably 2017 or 18. I don't know, but yeah.
Amazing.
And then it sounds like an old thing. And then I guess you saw like a video or a clip.
Yeah, your what are those called? Marquees on Spotify, the like 8-second loop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you as a kid.
What do they call that? Like
I think it's called a marquee.
Oh. So that sounds very posh. But it sounds very posh. A marquee. Yes, so it was a coincidence because I was moving to LA and I was just going through my stuff and I was trying to look for things that I wanted to bring, and I found an old camera. So I was looking at it as like old tapes, and I was like, then I found that, and I didn't even digitalize that tape. I actually just captured it with my phone from the camera, and I'm like, I don't care, I'm using it.
That's
and
so
then I put
good.
some effects on it.
Yeah, that worked out great.
That was me drumming when I was like, I think I was 10, and my dad was like, I don't know how old he was. If I was 10, that makes him 43 or some shit, or 40.
What was that like being a kid in the studio with your dad? Was it like, what are the things that you really remember from that time?
It was his friends. He would, like I'm saying, he's obsessed with music as well, and he's like such an emotional guy when it comes to, creating music and just jamming out. So he couldn't just have me and my brother over and not go to a studio. It's like he couldn't be like, let me just invest time and just chilling with them. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually happy for that because it was also fun for us. And he would just let us play, let us try stuff. And it was actually amazing. It's like our first experience with music is just jamming and trying, which I think it should always be, trying it out. And he allowed us to try everything out because there's a guitar there, there's a drum set there, a drum kit, and a bass there. So, yeah, it was actually amazing.
Did it feel... I mean, you continue to say, like, he's an emotional guy. What do you mean?
It's just... Okay, so this is what I mean. He does, when it comes to music, he does. And he doesn't think, like, the technical aspect of it. It's like, is this chord correct? He doesn't think about that. It's just like... I like how it sounds.
Yeah.
And even with like what I said with recording this song, he doesn't think like I have to be closer to the mic. If he's dancing and he's turning around while he's singing the song, then that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because you can tell him to do it again, and he's gonna dance again, and he's gonna turn
Yeah.
around again. So that's what I mean with an emotional guy. It's like he can't control that. He's just like feeling it at the moment, you know?
Yeah. That sounds like the coolest artistic example because that sounds so pure. Is that how you experience it?
Oh yeah, for sure. The purest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
And then
did-
it's funny. My mom is very calculated with a lot of stuff. Even when it comes to creative stuff, she's very calculated.
Yeah.
And I kind of got both.
Nice.
Where it's like, okay, feeling is very important to me. Like it has to come from a place. It has to come from your soul and not just from like, hey, I want to write a song.
Yeah.
To me. But then at the same time, I can really box certain stuff in to make it work for other people to listen to as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm like a very type A. I like neat lines kind of a guy. And what I'm really learning now the power of, being willing to dance around in a studio, turn away from the microphone because who knows what magic can happen. When you find yourself leaning a little bit more type A, what are the things that you kind of do to like bring you more towards that like freedom, emotive place?
To bring me more to that freedom, usually that's a tough question because I've had sessions where it's like, why am I trying to make this record work in such a specific way? Like for example, this song with my dad, does it really have a chorus? I don't think so.
No, it does not. It's perfect. It's just a vibe. It's just a good vibe.
It doesn't have a chorus, and it's like, you know what? It's great. And I'm like, I don't care. Let's just consider it an intro for my album, but I like how it sounds.
Yeah.
And then for most people that reach out to me about the album and like, I like the song with your dad most. And I'm like, oh, is that even considered a song? Well, thank you. You know what I mean? So especially when I'm working for me, because I write for other people, when I'm working for me, I just try to let go and try to not box myself in. But it is hard sometimes, especially when you just go sit down and like, I have to write a song, which is not something I like doing anymore. Yeah. That's why a lot of my songs are, for example, the last song that I released was a song that I wrote in 2014.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's why, because I have to feel it in a moment, especially if it's for me as an artist. Yeah. So sometimes it can take me 2 years to write an album or 1 year. Sometimes I'm in the flow of doing that, but I have to feel it, So sometimes it's just a matter of waiting for it to happen for me.
Yeah, but when you're writing for someone else, it seems like you're able to be a little bit less precious with it. So how do you like ride that line between like just turning it in, being like that works versus like, oh no, I really feel this?
Well, I gotta feel it. I like strong melodies and I like pretty melodies.
Yeah.
And I choose a pretty melody over an effective melody oftentimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has to come to a place where it's like, this is what they want, but it's also something I'm proud of.
Yeah.
So like if I write for a K-pop act, I mean, I would never release a song that sounds like that. Yeah. But I still want to make it sound like I'm proud of what I just did.
Yeah.
And not just turn in like a song that's shitty to me.
Yeah.
And it actually has happened where I wasn't proud of the song at all and I didn't like it. But the co-writer was like, yeah, it doesn't matter. We already made the song. We might as well send it. If they like it, they like it.
Sure.
So we did, and they took the record. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I'd rather have it. And then they recorded it, and it's like, oh, yeah, it actually does make sense in Korean. I get it.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. You've mentioned in other interviews as well, like the difference between an effective melody and a beautiful melody, and you're interested in making things that are beautiful to you. Yeah. Where do you find is that difference something that you just feel intuitively, or are there certain things that you actively tried to avoid when you're like, I'm not gonna do a straight 1-3-5 walk up. I'm not gonna do like certain
no,
things.
I don't care about that at all.
Okay.
Like something can be. No, I don't look at that. I just listen to what I hear, and if that is something beautiful to me, I'm good. Like it doesn't matter what it is technically to me. You know what I mean? And I didn't learn the technical aspect, like the theoretic stuff in music until I was like, I still don't really know.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know the names of the chords until I was it was in 2014, so
Wow.
so not so long ago.
Yeah.
I started working with he's still my co-writer. We moved to LA together and started working with him, and he's like, well, you got to know what the name of the chord is. If I'm playing it on the guitar and I'm telling you play a C, you have to know it. Look, this one is C.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, sure.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
thanks. So so technically I don't even know what certain things mean. So for me, it's like, if I hear it and it sounds good, that's what it is. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
like I didn't know what a major seventh was, and like I know that it's pretty now, but I didn't know what it was called.
Yeah, that's I'm so impressed that you were able to learn it, because I mean, it seems like you've had like an intuitive knowledge for your whole
Right.
life, and then you learned what the words are around your intuitive knowledge. So
Right.
so the guide is never a music theory. The guide is always like your own intuition and your own gut feeling, which is really
Right.
cool.
And I'm actually very happy with that too, because I think it would have messed me up if I would know too much.
Yeah, yeah,
I think it would have messed me up a little bit.
yeah. I think so
You
too.
know?
Just based off of all the people that we know that
Yeah.
have that problem, you know.
Yeah.
I
it's
think that's
true.
very common, because I feel like music now to me is a lot less heady and becoming much more as emotional. Like, as much of your dad as I can possibly channel, I'm gonna go ahead and try, because like that's like, I mean, there's a good reason why people really like the sound of your dad's voice, because it's very emotive. And it's
Right.
like-
Exactly. Like he
so
doesn't
it's
give a
like-
shit.
yeah, to like have the kind of texture, and your voice has so much texture to it as well. Like, it's not there are certain times that you're singing with an intentional like added raspiness or with a specific affect.
Yeah.
And I think that you do that so well.
Thank you.
Talking about more like songwriting stuff, you talked about moving to LA with a co-writer. Who is that? What was that like?
All right. So Rick Anima, he used to be in a band. I'm sorry, he used to be a band on his own. No,
Yeah.
he used to be in a band. And I met him in a scene. We were both signed to the same publisher, but they never linked us up because they thought like, this guy comes out of like a pop rock band, and this guy is, I don't know what he does. Like he makes EDM and R&B. Like they didn't think, it could work together. So we
Right.
just met randomly in the studio, and we were both like kind of working on some 80s sounding stuff
Yeah.
right next door. And I'm like, hey, what the hell? We're just both doing this. Let's work.
Yeah.
And so we worked, and we kicked it, and we just actually started working all the time. And at some point we were like, just let's move to LA and see see what we can do there.
Was there a specific moment where you like realized like, oh, this person is more than just a collaborator for today? I want this person in my life kind of a lot.
Yeah, there was a moment, but it took, and I'm kind of like that. I'm like I look extroverted, but I'm introverted when it comes to making connections with people. It takes time for me to really warm up to somebody. But he has this quality where it's like, I don't give a shit. I'm going.
Yeah.
Bleep that. Just bleep that. No, he's like, I'm going. Like, where are you? I'm coming to
Yeah.
the studio. I'm like, yeah, sure. But I'm not the type of person that would call somebody every day and just like, let's work. And at some point I got so used to that. I was like, yeah, this actually does work. You know what I
Wow.
mean? So yeah, but so he had to really push me to keep working with him.
Yeah.
So he actually kind of stalked me if you think about it.
Yeah. He really
But I'm
pushed
happy.
himself into your life.
Yeah, but I'm happy with that.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Do you, as soon as you had him in studio, do you feel like it was quick and easy trust, or do you feel like that was something that had to be built over time as well?
I guess it was quick and easy. We're both Pisces. I'm not really a star sign type of person.
Yeah.
But I've noticed that I've had like collaborators in the past that I would stick with.
Yeah.
They were also all Pisces.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I guess that's a thing for me,
Yeah.
but maybe it's coincidence. But yeah, I don't know. I think the trust was always there because we both had like an idea of we just got to make great songs rather than, having an ego in a session, or it doesn't matter who did what part. Doesn't matter if I come up with the whole song that day or he comes up with the whole song the next day. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, as long as we're working together all the time, it's going to be a 50-50 deal,
Right. That's so cool.
Yeah.
To not be paranoid about what percentage of the work you've done, just to know that we're
Oh, yeah.
we're working together on all of it, and you're going to be on my mind. Your projects are my projects, and they're always on my mind. That's like a beautiful.
And that's very important to me too. Like some people work differently, and I'm fine with that too. You know what I mean? If they want to work that way, if I'm consistently working with someone, it's kind of like, do you have to really figure that out for every song separately? I don't think so.
Yeah.
But I've actually seen, for K-pop, if there's like a writer on it, there's like a rapper in the band who writes his own stuff, and it's like, okay, he wrote 12% of this song, like actually in percentages. He wrote like this line, and then the next line is yours, and then and I'm like, okay, well, I mean, if it works, fine.
Yeah. That's one way to divvy it up. I think it changes the dynamic of the room, because then people are giving ideas that aren't necessarily good because they're trying to fill the space to earn more money. And I think sometimes for someone to recommend instrumental silence, like I actually think like that could be a game-changing suggestion, but it created no lyrics, you know? So it's like, so then how do you credit that person, you know?
I mean, well, that's why I'm like, if we're in a session together and we're all thinking and we're all working towards a thing, and sometimes it can even look like someone didn't do anything. Yeah. Like it can look like that from the outside. Yeah. But sometimes I know somebody's value in the session, even if they wrote 0 lines, they still said, not that one. Every time it was a shitty one. Yeah. So they still said, not that one. So they still technically produced it. They Quincy Jones did, you know. It's like very important as well, because I would have stuck with that line. And you're right, it's not that good. Yeah. So even if I come up with the next one, you still said it's not good enough. Yeah. So, and like silence, like you're saying, instrumental silence could be a thing that actually makes the record a good record. Yeah. So absolutely. Such small things can make a record a good record.
Who in your life do you allow to tell you like this is not a good line or this is not a good melody, or like, because it's important for you to have your own artistic voice, and you really do have that. But like who do you actually allow to check you and be like, I actually really disagree with you on this part?
Maybe Rick, my writing partner, because he also kind of knows it wouldn't really matter. Like even if that's his opinion, I'd be like, I'm going to stick with it anyway. It's like, okay, well, you're a loss. But, I would definitely allow him. Because usually if I come to him to ask his opinion, I already know that there's something in the song that doesn't make it right for me yet. So if I, like, say I have an idea in that, and I already did that and he wasn't present, because usually it just happens in the session. But if I have an idea, he wasn't present for it, I show it to him. He already knows I'm showing him, like, what is wrong with this still? Yeah. And then often, like mostly he's right, because he also knows what I like. Yeah. So he's probably the only person I would allow to check me.
Amazing. That's a gift. What other people on your team do you have? Because right now there's you and there's Rick, and that seems to be the powerhouse of who makes the music. Yes. Do you have other people who are looking out for you on like business side, money side, like marketing side?
Yes. I have a manager from Holland. Well, actually, he lived here for a long time, but he's Dutch and he lives in Holland. Nice. But he's doing a lot of things remotely very well as well. His name is also Rick. So that's confusing to a lot of people, especially when he was on email. And people in the session was like, oh, I thought you were his manager. I was like, no, that's a different Rick. Yeah. But so he's my manager, and he's great. I've been with him since 2014 as well. Wow. And around the same time I met Rick. Yeah. See how confusing this gets?
Yeah, that's a very big year for you, 2014.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, so he's in my team, and he has his team, pitch people for songs that we want to pitch songs to outside of me. And then I have a manager here, Paul George, who was more like my day-to-day as an artist. I think you met him that day. Yeah, he did.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it's fine. We were all adrenaline up, and
yeah. I remember people all the time. Don't worry.
Yeah, there's people. Yeah. So he's more like my day to day, and just make sure that I'm, on time for my shows, and make sure that, that my guitarist is on time, and all that kind of stuff that I kind of forget to do around everything. Right. He takes care of that. So, and he's an amazing guy too.
In the midst of that, your main focus is able to be strictly on songwriting, both for yourself and for others, and building out the live performance. Is that right?
Yeah, you're saying my main focus is just the songwriting?
Yeah, songwriting for yourself, for others, and like
Yes.
your own creative direction.
For sure. Those are my
Okay.
main focuses. I would love to act as well, but I just don't have the patience. This is the thing with acting. I love acting,
Yeah.
but if you do an audition tape, that's specific to what you're auditioning for, right?
Right.
So you can't use that
Right.
after that.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if you write a song for somebody, if they say I don't like it and I still like it, I can still
Yeah.
send it to somebody else or keep it. That's the thing. That's why I chose music. It's like, and I can do it alone. I don't have to sit with anybody if I don't
Right.
want to. You know.
The other thing that I wanted to ask you about was, like listening through the record, it feels very evident to me that you're like an incredible top liner. Like melody comes to you all the time, which is why there's like certain songs that use your voice in, like there's World is Waking Up, where it's just like it's a little bit of percussion and like your voice is the main instrument, sampled 100 different ways. And I can imagine you in the studio, like that there are a lot of songs on the record that start off with you singing a melody to a specific rhythm, and that becomes kind of like the underlick to the song. And I'm curious how you differentiate between the first melody that you come up with when like with Where Do You Hide Your Love? There's like that intro that you're singing to yourself.
Yeah.
And then there's the actual melody of the song. Like, how are you in the process of writing? Like, how are you figuring out which is going to be sung and which is going to be like your voice just as an instrument?
Good question. This specific song, like Where Do You Hide Your Love, is actually funny how it went. Again, 2014.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but yeah. That I wrote with Rick and then another guy, Yoshi, who's an incredible writer, also from the Netherlands. Actually, there's two versions. Which one are you referring to? Because one came out with a girl, Scofie, last year.
Yeah.
The slow down version.
No, I'm talking about the fast one.
The up tempo, boom.
Yeah.
So that started out with me. I wanted to make, who's that? Amy McDonald or something? This is the sun and this is life, and I wake up in the morning and I da where you wanna go. Remember that song?
I don't know that one.
Where you wanna sleep tonight? You know that song. Doesn't matter. That's the song. You look it up after this. You know it. I'm just probably messing it up.
You're good.
But I was like, I gotta make something like that. I was thinking, kind of like going in my head, like, what's a good melody that's similar to that? And I wrote the chorus as, where'd you hide your love? Is it somewhere close? So tell me, did you throw it out your heart's window? And that ended up the B part of the second verse.
Right. Yeah.
But I thought that was gonna be the chorus.
yeah.
So that's an interesting question, because like, how do I differentiate that? Is that I don't know until I record it. Sometimes I don't know until I record it, and I'm like, you know what? This is not supposed to be lyrics, or this is supposed to be lyrics. You know, I've had it the other way around as well. It's like, that doesn't work. Let me sing words to this.
Yeah.
So it's actually,
interesting.
it's hard to say, but it's more like a feeling and just listening back and saying like, does this work?
But I think that also speaks to like you've mentioned like your highest skill sets being melody, singing, and producing. And like part of producing is like, I'm sure you're like recording it and then you're seeing it on the screen, and then part of producing is like dragging and dropping it into different places to see like, oh, let's turn those words just back into a melody that I sing, and let's move it around in the song to see where that fits better, and be like, okay, actually that works better without lyrics. That's very interesting, because you're able to so easily just drag and drop it into another different spot.
Can you imagine back in the day? It's just like, you just got to listen to it and just got to feel for yourself. Do I like it? That's all you can do. Do I like this? You know?
Yeah, to not be able to hear it, like there's such a high cost to hearing it back.
Yeah.
Versus now it's free to hear it back in a different place.
It's free. Time is free because you can do it at home.
Right.
And back in the day, it's like, you're in the studio, so
yeah,
you're on the clock.
Massively in debt.
It's so expensive.
When it comes to lyrical content in a song, in like a previous interview, you had mentioned you have a real love for a specific Michael Jackson song, where he's talking about. There was one that was talking about slander, and there was another one that was talking about drug overdose. And I was like, those are hard topics to do well in pop a lot of the time, just because they're heavier things. But I feel like there are super popular people now who are like covering some of those topics and doing it well and doing it poppy. You have like Billie Eilish did a song called Zanny, which like did really well, and like
and a lot of people relate to it. More people than we knew back when Michael Jackson was living and on drugs and stuff. There was more like a side eye to it, where it's like if somebody was, it would be like kind of like But at the same time, some people have serious problems. Some people need it, and it's just like it's not something to be ashamed of, really, because everybody's going through stuff. Some people are going through a lot, and I'm actually happy that people like Billie Eilish are and Michael Jackson at that time, because he was actually in that song. I don't know if you know the song Morphine. He's actually very upset with the people that gave that to him in the first place, because he got addicted. I'm actually happy that it's like a discussable topic now, because people aren't as afraid to talk about it with other people anymore. Yeah. Which makes it easier to maybe get over it or just at least have somebody to talk to about it. And they kind of pave that way for other people to just be like, yeah, you know what? There's nothing to be ashamed of. We can talk about this stuff.
Absolutely. With your own music, is this something that you've been able to incorporate? A lot of the songs that I heard on this last record was like a lot of love songs. Mm-hmm. I'm curious if some of those topics you've tried to address or like try to put into your own stuff, and like how has that gone for you as you've like tried to address some of those things? Usually, and in no way implying that you're on drugs or addicted to drugs or anything. Just general struggles. I'm not
general struggles, because you're basically saying, yeah, I know you're
addicted to drugs, and so if you could like,
could you name the ones? Could you list the ones that you're addicted to so they can move forward from it? Perfect. No, I've never tried to incorporate that. Because just my instinct lyrically just goes to love songs. Yeah. I don't know why. Yeah. And I'm like, I've always been like, I would like to have like more interesting lyrics and more like lyrics that are kind of like, but if it doesn't come naturally to me, unless I'm writing with someone who it comes naturally to, I was like, I'm not gonna force that out of me if naturally I just write love songs. Absolutely. And there are actually songs that I wrote that are love songs, but it was actually about something else. Like This Christmas, I don't know if you've heard that record. I did a song called This Christmas, and it's actually about missing my ex-girlfriend around Christmas time because I get lonely and that kind of stuff. But it wasn't really about that. I just made it into a love song. It was more like I moved to LA. Now every December I don't get to spend Christmas with my family. That was kind of the feeling that I was channeling. That's the feeling that I used to write the song, but I still wrote it into a love song. So technically I wrote about something else, but you wouldn't be able to know that unless I tell you.
No, but that's smart. I think that's a really smart marketing tool in general. Like I was recently given advice to like keep songs kind of like a Mad Lib, like make it so that it's easy for the listener to put themselves into the story. Yeah. And I think one of the easiest ways to do that, and like the most universal way to do that, is through love, because everyone experiences romance on some level, you know? And then they can put themselves into that story. So I think that makes sense. I also just, as like a side note, want to ask you about dancing, because it's watching your videos, I immediately wanted to become a better dancer for all future videos. Did you have a coach? Is this something that you're just good at? How much training? This is like a choreographed dance with multiple people. Like how do you do it?
How much training? Well, I actually do need a lot of time to learn the choreography. I don't I can do the moves, I just can't remember them. You know what I mean? So I do need a lot of time. But for example, the video Gamble, which is choreographed by my ex-girlfriend at the time. I mean, it's still my ex-girlfriend. My girlfriend at the time, my ex-girlfriend now. She choreographed that. And I think we were visiting LA. And I think she found most dancers. I had a couple friends here from Amsterdam. Actually, most dancers in that video are Dutch. because that's just people that moved here, and I needed a favor from people. I wasn't like, I didn't have a lot of money to make this video, so I needed favors all around. So I asked my Dutch friends and this and that, and I think they rehearsed once.
Wow.
I rehearsed probably 14 times before I got it right.
Yeah.
And then the dancers that came in rehearsed once, and then we shot it the next day.
Incredible.
So yeah.
It's incredible. 14 times is a good amount. And you were saying it was your girlfriend at the time, so she was walking you through that choreography.
Yes,
just
for
on
sure.
her own. Okay.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
But yeah, now as well, like I did a video for dancing on my own. It just takes me a long time to get it right. But if I know the moves, I just practice it until it feels natural to me.
Yeah.
So I don't need anybody right next to me at that point anymore, because I know what it is.
Right.
I just practice it until it becomes like walking to me.
Right.
So it just feels natural. Like I can't forget it.
Right.
And even if I'm nervous or something on set, you never know what happens. Or if I don't feel like I'm not feeling it, it's still in my body, so I can just still do it. But I tend to just practice a lot. Also, I enjoy practicing it.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to do cardio anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it takes me a while to get it right.
That's wonderful. You mentioned you brought in all of your Dutch friends, and I have a question about just general like life in Netherlands, because you lived there for quite a long time. What have you noticed as like kind of the differences between you as an artist here in the U.S. being like from the Netherlands versus people who have been here in the U.S. their entire lives? Like what do you feel like is like the unique flavor that you're bringing in because of that upbringing?
This is the thing. America's hit songs are technically the biggest hits from America are hits that made it to Europe. So I grew up with only the top shelf ones. That's kind of like my palette is just based on the best, the ones that made it out to Europe.
Yeah.
So we kind of have like a natural instinct for catchiness.
Yeah.
Even though like I said, I don't care about that. I just want it to be pretty. But for some reason, I kind of feel like we have a natural instinct for it to make something catchy, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not even true, but I feel that way.
That's interesting.
And what else is different? What do I bring? I don't know. I think, that's what I've noticed as well. A lot of Americans are lyric driven. And I find it important what the lyrics are. I do find it important, but I need to figure out what the melodies are before I even begin to write lyrics. Because the song has to sound like a song to me first, and then I can figure out, okay, what can I say? And I've seen a lot of Americans work the other way around, or at least simultaneously.
Yes.
You know, so I've seen that a lot. And I do understand that lyrics are more important here, especially in English, because, I mean, it's your first language. I mean, in Holland, it's like, I don't know, not everybody talks English. So it's just like, okay, sounds
very
great.
Interesting. Yeah, so the
also,
melody's more important when you can't understand
the
lyrics.
like, okay, I just got to know what it sounds like rather than what the person is saying.
That's huge.
Like, I grew up not knowing what the hell beat it means. It's like, beat what? Beat what? I don't get it.
Yeah, yeah.
Beat it. Like, why? That's kind of, why are you telling me to beat it?
Yeah.
You perv.
Just telling little boys all over the world.
I guess it makes sense now.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What personality-wise, what do you see as like some of the differences? Because like I'm like from Lancaster, California, which is like a kind of like a nothing to do town. My childhood involved like, you know, you drive out into the desert with your friends and you like watch the stars at night, like some place that's not even a road. Like, so like I have like a very small town vibe. And now that I'm in LA, I'm like, oh, there are giant cultural gaps between Lancaster and Los Angeles, even though they're only an hour and a half apart. Like, what have you felt like personality wise where you're like, oh man, we're very different. I'm into this and you're into this.
Personality wise, Amsterdam is a very like honest city where it's like people they're not nice to one another if they don't have to per se. I mean, we're friendly.
Yeah.
You know, okay, but not like overly nice because I don't know you.
Yeah.
And it's very upfront. So you tell people exactly what it is. And here it's kind of like sometimes you have to play a little game. And I've noticed that, especially when I came here first, it was like some things that I say can come across rude, even though they're not meant to be rude. That's how I grew up. But some things are rude. And I'm like, wait, what did I just do? Did I do something rude? Yeah, like you didn't say thank you. I'm like, I was supposed to say thank you? He works here. It's his job. Anyway. And they're like, yeah, you got to say thank you. I'm like, oh. Okay.
Yeah. Interesting.
Because,
Okay.
like, do you want another drink? Like, no. I thought that was normal. No, thank you. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
So that kind of things. But, like, more things. There's more things. It's like you can't really be completely honest about it or it's rude. Here. I don't have a great example, but...
Yeah. Wait, you
it's
can't
like
be completely
Amsterdam's
honest
more
about
like
what?
New York, kind of people-wise.
Yeah.
A little bit, where it's more like, get out of here, I don't care. And here it's like, no, I respectfully decline.
Yeah.
You know.
I noticed in New York, people are gruff, but if you're lost, they'll point you in the right direction. They will like stop for a second and be like, no, this is where you're looking to go. This is where you need to go. Bye. And then they'll leave you. But like they gave you good directions.
Yeah.
They just did it in a way that didn't feel nice. But they gave you the help.
But they still
needed.
did it. Yeah. Technically, they helped you out.
Absolutely.
But you're still like, what an ass.
Yeah.
But here it's kind of like, oh my God, yes, this and that. Then you go that way. Do you want to see? Look, and they grab their phones, show you on maps, give their numbers. Just call me if you get there. And okay.
Great. I have a couple questions for you, just like random kind of. These are going to be kind of across the board under the category of who do you think I should learn from? So, for instance, you have a great ear for melody. So, if I were to ask you, like, if I were to be studying melody, like good melody, like where would you point me? Like which album, which artist, like who would you tell me to study if I'm looking to learn about melody?
Pop wise?
Yeah.
About melody? Good question. Because if I would say like effective, strong, not caring about lyrics, I would say Nile Rodgers. You know, the disco stuff, like what he did with Chic, all that, that's like, oh my God, that's fire. Dude, but that's fire. But if I'm talking about beautiful melody, difficult to say. But I would say, Phil Collins, Michael Jackson, depending on what album. But yeah, a lot of, especially the B-side tracks that we discussed earlier. If you look at those, you're like, oh, this is really about good melodies and nothing else. What was it, Phil Collins' bandmate again, who's also amazing?
From Genesis, Peter Gabriel.
Peter Gabriel, exactly. Great melodies.
That's great.
Other than that, Frank Ocean, but tough to say. Seal. You know Seal?
Seal. Yeah, oh my God.
Amazing.
Yeah. Talk about a tone on a voice.
Yeah, amazing.
Okay, same question, but for production. I mean, you've talked about Pharrell a ton, and especially like in terms of like job longevity and just overall making songs for a specific artist. Pharrell does a great job of that. Who else do you look at production wise?
Yeah, and that's also because Pharrell is and a singer and a songwriter and a producer, and you don't see it that often. So I'd like to, because I've looked up to him because a lot of people, especially in Holland, are kind of like narrow-minded. So they would say you got to choose a lane. I'm like, why though?
Yeah.
Pharrell does it. Yeah, but you're not Pharrell. It's like, yet.
Yeah, I'll never be with that attitude.
Yeah, thank you. But that's also kind of the reason I moved here. It's like the American dream. Everything is achievable. In Holland, it's like, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
Just either sing or write or produce. So that's why I'm looking up to people like Pharrell as well, because it's like, yeah, you did that. Prince did that. Michael Jackson did that. So what are you talking about?
Yeah,
and I'm not comparing myself to them. I look up to them, and I try to take what I see as that is possible, But production-wise, other people I look up to is Timbaland, because there's no Timbaland song that you don't recognize as a Timbaland song. You don't have to know the song. You can hear it and be like, yeah, 100% Timbaland produced that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's crazy to me. That your sound is so specific that it doesn't matter if I know the song, I know it's you. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
So that I look up to very much. Obviously Quincy Jones.
Yeah.
Because,
yeah, he's done a lot.
Yeah, he's done a lot, and he did it amazingly without touching a computer as well, which a lot of people consider producing nowadays, where you have to touch a computer. Not necessarily true. And Max Martin, I think, is amazing in his own way, where it's like all these songs are so big and good and effective, But I still, like I said earlier, I don't think to him it's about being effective. I think for him it's just in his bones to write effective songs, and I don't think he chooses to. I think he chooses to write a great song, and they happen to be effective as well.
Yeah.
Because even if you listen to the Backstreet Boys, those melodies are pretty. It's not like it's not just like, okay, it's, you know, it's formulated. I mean, I guess it is formulated, but it's not just like, okay, that works. It's also like, that's a beautiful melody.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
I Want It That Way, Quit Playing Games with My Heart. Those are pretty songs besides pop songs.
Absolutely.
So I kind of look up to him as well in that sense.
What other like area? Because I mean, we've only covered literally just music during this time, which is like one aspect of your life, right? It's like one area that you and I care a ton about, so it makes sense that we talk about it. Yeah. But there's every other area in your life that you care about, personal development, whatever it may be. Like, what other like books or resources or like documentaries, things that you are taking in that have been like moving to you or like world expanding? Do you have like specific books that you like have gone through recently or?
Yeah, I read The Power of Now.
I'm reading it right now.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, The Power of Now, so you got to read it now.
Yeah.
you can't ever stop reading it.
Yeah, so true.
But yeah, I think I read it like, I'm on my second time reading it right now as well. So we're actually reading it at the same time. I'd already read it before. Yeah. And it's really, like, you don't have to agree with everything the book says, and you don't have to agree with anything the book says. But at least you got a perspective that you didn't know before, and it really makes you think about yourself, about the steps you want to take in your life, and it's really helping. And it's not too judgy of a book, because I also read The Subtle Art of Not Giving Up, and that at some point became a little bit judgy towards the reader, and I'm like, I feel offended. I actually feel kind of broken down. It doesn't help me. I just feel like I'm being judged. Yeah. So Power of Now is great, and I don't read much. That's the one. That's two books I read, and I'm currently working on.
That's an answer right there.
I don't read much, but I like documentaries. But I literally love documentaries about the weirdest stuff.
Like what?
Like UFOs, and like even sometimes I watch documentaries like I don't believe anything I'm seeing right now, but I'm still gonna watch it. Yeah. You know, I don't believe it, but let's go. And I love crime or true crime. You know. It fascinates me that people can just murder someone. I'm like, what the hell? So it's like, I want to know why. So that's the stuff I watch. It's not inspiring to me. It's not, it doesn't inspire me, but
with Power of Now, like one of the biggest themes that I've kind of taken from it is this idea of salvation being in the now. A lot of people think that their salvation is in the future. If I get XYZ, then I will be happy. And he's like, no, happiness and like joy and peace is only found in the present, and you have to access it right now. If you want the key to it, it exists in the present. And so I feel like that's one of the biggest eye-opening things to like take from the book. But I agree, there's a ton to like disagree with and like not exactly vibe with. Like, what is some of that been for you, where you're like, I feel like I can kind of let that go, or that
But that's the thing. It's like, and with The Power of Now, it's like, it doesn't matter if you agree or not. It's already helping that you see that perspective. And I do agree with that book, but I can still see like, okay, these can be things that not everyone agrees with, but I do. And I can still see as from a different perspective, or it's like, maybe it might not help you that way, but it can still help you in this way. Because even if you look at meditation, if you meditate, you often, especially when it's a guided meditation, you often hear that you have to be present in the now, which is technically what he's saying in The Power of Now. It's like, don't think about yesterday, don't think about tomorrow, you're now. Yeah. And that's, I think, the most stressful thing is worrying about tomorrow or regretting, which is something that happens in the past. Like, even if you go out, he's like, oh, did I say weird stuff? Yeah. Doesn't matter. It already happened. You can't change it, you know?
Yep. That's so interesting. Yeah. It's been one of the things that I've had to really buy into pretty much every day, and I'm noticing how every day, like, it's like an active choice to like continue to like decide to live in the present. That's just a random fact about me. There you go.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm still teaching myself how to do that. I still have to remind myself every day. It's just like, hey, nothing really matters. except now if you think about it. I mean, you got to think about your future a little bit, but even your future is something that you're working on now. Otherwise, it's not a future. So but I have to remind myself that every day as well.
Do you have any rituals like prior to like getting into songwriting? Like things that you do in order to get in the mood? Do you like do push-ups? Do you light a candle? Do you
like a ritual, like sacrificing a goat?
Yeah. Do you kill animals?
Yeah. No. Rituals. No, I do. Well, technically, yeah. Technically, I do because I like to have enough time in the morning to watch at least an episode of something.
Yeah.
Just before getting up. Which is not really, it's not like a spiritual ritual, but it's still like, even if I know I got to get up at 8 a.m., I still want time. So I'm going to put my alarm at 7 a.m. so that I have that alone time where I'm just chilling without having to do anything first. That's my ritual. Even if I'm not watching TV, I got to be up for like an hour, not even up, in my bed for like an hour before I get up. And other than that, no. What I do though is, especially at night, I put on spa music and chill.
That's awesome.
Like a spa playlist. It's so insane. You get like weird dreams about forests. Do that.
Oh, you leave it on while you sleep?
Yeah, I wake up in the middle of the night. I was like, oh, I left it on. And I just turn it down, but I don't completely shut it off. And I'm like, oh, I'm chilling. It's so good.
That's sick.
That's what I've been doing lately. I'm like, oh, that's so good. Also, it's not like music. So it won't trigger something in my head. Because as music, you know that. As a musician, when you hear a song, it's different than somebody who's not a musician. You will hear stuff that you'd either change or apply to your own stuff. It's like, but this spa music, you would never make that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just like, nobody's singing on it. There's no words. You're chilling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's designed to turn your brain off. That's super interesting.
So I've been doing that. It's better than watching TV before you go to bed. Trust me.
Yeah. That's seems to be all of the advice of the internet. And then finally, is there someone who you look up to, someone you want to be like?
That's a good question. But I just want to be the best version of myself. You know what I mean? I'm proud of who I am. And there's definitely things I would want to see different, in myself. Like, I get nervous when I have to perform. I'd rather just feel confident about that. Yeah. And also, everybody has their flaws, and I think about them too much maybe as well. But yeah, I just want to be the best version of myself. I don't know if I necessarily look up to somebody because everybody has their things.
Sure. Yeah.
But I want to be like you, kind of.
Oh, well.
Because you're so confident on stage. And I'm like, and you're so sweet. I thought when I met you, when you were performing, it's like, I'm going to talk to him later because he was great, but he's probably going to be a dick. And you're not. And I'm like, oh, shit, he's kind. So he's kind and great? I'm quitting.
That was my impression of you also at the show, where I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna talk to this guy, and then immediately it's very interesting. Like, as someone gets more talented, the more you're like, oh, it would be fine if they were a dick, because that would kind of make sense. So I feel like it's even more of a standout when really talented people are thoughtful and kind. And that was also one of the biggest traits that I saw in you that night, was like, oh, this is someone he could ignore everybody and it would be entirely warranted.
Thank you. No, but likewise. And you were killing.
Yeah. But I saw you drinking a Pedialyte and I was like, that is my kind of guy. Because that is my kind of drink right there.
Yeah, because it lubes your throat up and
it tastes amazing.
It's delicious. The salt in it, I don't know. I love it.
Yeah, it's a little pricey.
It's like $8, isn't it?
It's like $5 at the. Yeah, it's still a lot. Like,
but the one I have was like Pedialyte extra hydration. It was like $7.50 or some stuff, and I'm like, why? Fine, I'll take it.
Yeah, we should buy them in bulk. That'd be smart.
Yeah, we should.
Do you have anything else that you're promoting right now? Anything you're looking forward to that we should turn people on to?
Yeah, I have a song coming out soon. It's called Magical. That's coming out soon. And I'm actually proud of that song because, I wrote it in 2014, as you know, with all my songs.
That was when I was really good, you guys.
Yeah.
You should have seen me.
No, I wasn't ready for that sound yet. So that's why they're all coming out. Like, now I understand how to actually produce those songs. Because, I didn't know what I was doing. Now I'm like, oh, I know what I should do with this. So, it's a song called Magical. Wrote it with Rick. I know I'm pointing up there because he's upstairs in my house.
He's in heaven.
No, he's in my house. I'm in the basement and he's upstairs. Or he's in Chicago because it's north. Okay. But yeah, Magical, the song I wrote long ago, finished it this year and it's coming out soon. And I'm proud of that song because it doesn't necessarily remind me of anything. It's just a song. Like, I can't tell you what it is. I can't tell you if it's R&B or pop or reggae. It has all those. Yeah. It has all those elements. So that's why I'm proud of it. It's like, it's just a Cimo Fränkel song. Yeah. Because it's going to remind you of the song with my dad, and it's going to remind you of other songs I have on my album, like B-side songs. And that's why I'm so proud of that one.
Well, sweet. Those are all the questions that I had for you. Do you have anything else that you want to plug or say or do?
I want to tell you, stay healthy.
And
don't be afraid to contact me whenever you want to. We still got to work together. Which we haven't done yet, but we will for everyone who's listening. Yeah. I'm going to blow your mind whole. And yeah.
Great. Well, then let me go ahead and I'll clap us out. Thank you kindly for listening to the podcast. It's really just an excuse for me to meet amazing people and learn from them. So if you like this episode, feel free to take a look at some of the other artists I've talked to, or let me know if there's someone in your life who's a musician that you'd like me to talk to next. You can learn more about my music at connorcherland.com or find me on Instagram or Spotify under Connor Cherland, ConnerCherland. All right, see ya.